Okay, the title of the talk is a quote from the first Tsoknyi Rinpoche, historical figure, important Tibetan teacher. And the quote is, "If you want to see the Buddha, look at your face." And that's a challenging quote when we look around now and we think, impossible, the situation we're in. We can't make sense of it all. It seems really we're in um, an inhuman, unwise, unspiritual uh, movement in our society and maybe in the planetary society, and we're part of it. So we may not feel like the Buddha every day, and certainly not now. And we feel carrying lots of dilemmas and confusions and helplessness and uncertainty and contradictions. We don't know what is ethical and what means right action in these times. We have challenges what to act, how to act, and how to change things, and how I should live in these times. So there's some very basic issues that might say, it doesn't feel like I'm a Buddha right now, nor anybody else. But all of that does invite us to go to another place, which is a deep understanding that we're not in charge. We cannot control circumstances. What arises is not in our hands. The only thing we can sometimes control or influence is the way we see things and the way we receive them. But it's illusion to think that we're in charge and we can fix things. Clearly not happening. 2 years in Clio, nearly 2 years, we had every day rockets and artillery coming from all up here on top of this hill behind us, and that hill and that hill and that hill. There was artillery going from here to Lebanon and rockets back. And maybe 10 times a day for 2 years. So that's a big kind of message to say we're not in control, but we can't just. It's not the end of the story. It's a big wake-up call. It has to be a wake-up call. And this kind of thing has been a wake-up call for spiritual life from the beginning of time. And especially in the Buddhist tradition that says when there is intense suffering, it's a wake-up call. It's not a place for despair or hopelessness or joining anger and violence, but a place to wake up. But how do we do that? So where do we find a place to wake up? And who is waking up? Who is this one that needs to wake up? And what is the deepest place that we can look at this uncontrollable and unpredictable life? What is that place, which is our Buddha inside? And what assumptions, beliefs, culture, ways of looking, process of looking, are we holding that influences the way we look at things? So all of that invites us to do some serious work on how we see things. And again, the message of, I think, the Buddhist teaching and Buddhist teachers Just yesterday, I was sitting with someone in Tel Aviv, and we having a drink together, and she said she met Ajahn Amaro, who is the head of perhaps a major Theravada monastery in the Western world, in England. And she asked him, in time of war, what can we do? And he said the same thing. Be the biggest person that you can, and from that place, go out and make change, make a difference. So it's the same. How we are, be the biggest person that we can is an answer, because from there the actions come out spontaneously as much as we can. So we might think, well, the thing to do is just to meditate a lot. Yes, it's true, but we have to understand a bit more what that means, and understand the limits of meditation in situations like this, especially. Meditation certainly helps us to collect ourselves, and that's so important. The word samadhi is a Sanskrit word meaning to collect, to gather. And it's a very much the first step to gather ourselves. And much of the meditation that we do is about remembering who we are, to come back home to ourselves and not get swept away, not have our attention hijacked by the media, by this, by everybody else, by the society, and we don't know who we are anymore because we just simply swept away constantly. Our attention is taken away, and we need to bring it back home as a important step in remembering our big self and how we can look at things differently. We can't really fight the consensus. It's not in our hands, but we can say, I am not going to be consoled by the consensus. We can step out of that. There is a campaign, a language that we're using inside Dharma community here, which is coming from a very traditional place of nonviolence, um, which says, without me, I am not part of this. Stepping out, not in my name, is the language that's used. So it's meditation is very important, but we need to see it a bit differently, as not about shutting down anything and not closing down and not closing the doors, but opening. So we're not closing anything. It's a way of opening the seeing eye in us, the Buddha eye, and it's a different attitude. And one of the things that seeing does is to see the whole mess that we're carrying, which is our mess, the individual mess, our parents, our society, our school, or, the world, the planet, the whole stuff. Not to shut it down and try and kind of wipe it out and wipe out the hard disk. And I know that one time I was teaching a retreat to the 40 scientists that researching the brain. It was in, I forget where. And they were really humorous they were laughing about the walking meditation. They said, "It seemed to work, but in our language as brain scientists, it was a little bit like all of us turning into zombies." And it was very nice to see all these brain scientists kind of like walking like zombies. But the point of meditation is opening up, not shutting down. But in order to do that, sometimes we need to stop the automatic that we breathe 50 times a day, 50,000 times a day, and we don't know one. We walk 10,000 steps a day and we don't know one. So it's about meditation is about opening up, not shutting down. And we should remember that. And even if it's opening the nest of all the sides, and meditation is seeing us as we are, including the smallness, including the small conditioned beings that we are, but also once we see our smallness, we can also see our greatness. They go together. We see our smallness, we argue with somebody, and all of a sudden, I bet you everybody's happened, he says the same. We're in the middle of argument, political argument, and all of a sudden, we suddenly think, actually, I'm like those guys I heard on TV yesterday from this party or that party or whatever. I'm the same as them. And indeed, we have in us all, we have angels and demons in us. When we say our inner face is the Buddha, it's not a unreal face. Our inner face is angels and demons also. We have everyone in us. We have Netanyahu in us. We have uh, Nelson Mandela in us. We have the Dalai Lama in us. I was telling a friend of mine about a book I like called Mr. Pi. I'm sure no one knows this book, but it was written maybe 100 years ago by someone that was in a mental hospital, locked up in a mental hospital in England, and he wrote unbelievable books and pictures, also painted lots of pictures. And he wrote this book, which was just so entertaining, about a guy on an island, one of the Channel Islands near in the south of England, called Mr. Pi. And every time he did something kind and beneficial and right, sort of little angels, little wings came out. And every time he did the opposite, little horns came out. So he was all the time looking in the mirror. Am I today more horns or more wings? So angel and devil kind of in this primal picture. It was so. It was a very touching book. But we are all of them. We are all of them. We are the children starving right now in Gaza, and we are the people dropping bombs on them. We are the same. They're all in us. And it's a challenge, but that's a starting point. I remember this touching interview with this writer called Tsoknyi on Israeli television. It was he was writing. He came out of the Holocaust. Tsoknyi. So he came out of the Holocaust and writing lots of books, and then he himself went through a therapy with LSD, and he came back and did an interview, which is very touching, when he said, "I am the camp Germans that running Auschwitz, and I'm in the camp, and I'm both of them." And it takes a lot of courage to say that and to feel it. But once you see a bigger self, you will know you have all of them we have all of them in us but we also have the Buddha in us. And we have the same mind as the Buddha. We're not made of different stuff. But the Buddha's made of kind of one material, and everybody else is made of other material. It's not like that. We are the Buddha, and we are Hitler. We are the same, made of the same stuff. So we need to begin to look at how we are faced with experience. We need to wake up, and one place that we can begin to do it is to come out of very personal place. That means me and the world, because that place is always holding so much stuff about what I want and what I need and what I should be and what shouldn't be, and basically control. The self is very much a control mechanism. We're all the time trying to get things better, trying to fix things. It shouldn't be like this, it should be like that. And there's another place, which is a place where we are the world. And the self, we're looking at the world with the eyes of the world. It's the world looking out of our eyes, actually, at itself. There's a Zen phrase, don't, when you're meditating, don't look at water like a person looks at water. Look at water like water looks at water. It's a lovely quote. And how does it work? It works by understanding that meditation and spiritual practice is about presence, is beginning to open the presence, how much we are ready to receive, and undoing the boundaries of our heart, the boundaries of our mind. Presence does it. So we see, okay, but a breath is not a big deal. Actually, if we stay with the breath and the body and the mind and the heart and the Buddha in us and the devils in us and all the rubbish in our history, in our mind, thinking there, all the conditioning and all the purity and the big person and the small person, all of that kaleidoscope of a person, of a human being, he's not just a human being, it's also life itself. And so we the presence is more important than having a technique of samadhi, of focus. Focus is needed, but the presence is bigger than focus. And yesterday I was giving a talk in Tel Aviv to introduce a film. And the film is called One Mind. And it's a Zen film about a Korean Zen monastery or hermitage. It's actually not really a monastery as we know it. And the monks all day were cutting herbs, were growing vegetables, were looking after the cows, were cooking, were cleaning. Meditation? Forget it. They didn't meditate. So what is that? Well, I mean, what's their practice then? But you could feel in every action, even in the film, you could feel the power in this action of sorting out plants or of cutting vegetables. So much presence, so much power, and so much kindness. They were so careful not to do damage. They were so careful to make sure that they didn't hurt any animals. They were so careful when they collected the cows, how they talked to them and to each other. And in this film, the um, the person making the film, the director, asked, "What's your practice?" And they said, Our practice is just to have a koan. A koan is a Zen, uh, impossible question that has no answer that the ordinary mind can come up with. It's a kind of question or riddle, like what's the sound of the clapping of one hand? Or what kind of face do you have before you were born, or even conceived, or even thought about by your parents? So where were you then? Questions like that, which stop the mind, and the mind can't deal with that. So the mind has to go somewhere else. So the koan is a way of challenging the mind, the ordinary mind, to come out of itself. Where can it go? It goes into the universe. There's nowhere else it can go. The mind is a mechanism to do with knowing how to cope with things and decide and what next and how to fix and how to survive and so on. When you're beyond the mind, then you're in a much bigger space beyond ordinary mind, shall we say. And it's very important because even in our spiritual life, our meditation, our life is retreats or whatever we do spiritually, we have still a sense of wanting to get something, wanting to gain something, wanting to get things better, wanting to improve, wanting to relax, wanting to shut up this mind. But there's something there that's limited. It's still the mind trying to do itself to itself. It's still in that circle of the mind. We can't get happiness. Deep happiness is not something we can get. We can just not disturb it. You can just not interfere with it, and it will be there. Awakening is not something we can get. We just don't disturb it, and we'll discover it. It's there. The Buddha is already in us, but we cover over with so many layers, you can't find the Buddha. The Buddha said, "Help! I'm on, I'm under all these layers of conditioned life, of reactivity, of automatic living. Let me free." So we need, I mean, there's many classical images. I won't go into all the metaphors of this, but one that I do like is one we all know, so classical, is the waves and the ocean. And can we have an ocean point of view when we look at waves, or waves such as our anger or our confusion? Can we look at it from an ocean point of view? Or are we stuck looking at waves from the wave point of view? We can do our meditation can also, our spiritual life can help us to look at the ocean from the wave point of view and look at the wave from the ocean point of view. The dialogue between form and emptiness is taking both. It's not trying to be in emptiness. That's also not the face of the Buddha. The face of the Buddha is form and emptiness, allowing form to appear as a thought, as a need to do something, as a need to now to drink water. No problem with that. It's a wave. It says, time to drink water, but from where is that wave coming? So the waves have their place, and the thoughts have their place, and the content of civilization has its place, and the infinity has its place, the ocean has its place. And the more that we can see that dialogue as being very natural and very liberating dialogue between form and emptiness, between consciousness and constructions in the mind, and we are okay with that, we will find a deep peace, because the peace isn't stopping the wave. The peace comes from looking at waves from the point of view of the ocean. But it's not about stopping the wave. Waves are life. No waves, no life. So I want to take it to a place, a very classical place of the first teaching of the Buddha, which is the Eightfold Path. Because it's really important to understand that in the Eightfold Path, the Buddha said there are 8 practices or 8 directions for practice. Only 2 of them are meditation. 3 of them are wisdom, and 3 of them are ethics, or how you are in life. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila is ethics, how we are, speech, action, um, livelihood, etc. Samadhi is practice, mindfulness on samadhi, concentration. And Panya is the wisdom mind, thought, wisdom, and a way of seeing. They all interact with each other. You can't cut off the wisdom without the ethics. Sometimes it's convenient to forget that. And it's very much part of all the traditions. Actually, there's quite a well-known Kabbalist teacher coming here to Lille, someone called Rev Gottlieb, who is a Kabbalist from Jerusalem. And he's coming to Clear. We're going to do a dialogue, him and me, and then he's coming to give a talk in Clear to whoever wants to come. And I asked him what he wants to talk about. And he said he wants to talk about non-violence and love inside Jewish spiritual life. And it's not just Buddhists that go in that direction. If you go deeply into any spiritual life, you will find it there. Awareness itself is caring. And these monks in Korea, Zen, you could see how much they are caring. And there is a word called apamada in the Buddhist tradition, which is, it's like you can't be aware without caring. Because the minute you are aware of anything in the world and you are in the shoes of another, you will care because you are them. You are the plant and the cow and the starving child over there, and also the soldier that's being told to do this. And you'll be part of all of that. You can't avoid. Kindness will happen by itself once there is a willingness to be inside the shoes of others, to be out there in the world. So awareness is the last words of the Buddha was practice apamada. The last words, then he died. Practice apamada, caring awareness. It's not neutral. Meditation is not neutral. And that's why we also need to see meditation and show ourselves small self, not just the Buddha includes the small being here. And we need to see that with love as well. And the story I suddenly remembered, in 1967, I was hitchhiking from London to India. Hitchhiking on the road like this. and I got as far as Lahore in Pakistan. But the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan was a famous valley called the Khyber Pass. And I talked to some of the Afghan tribesmen there about their relationship who living there. They said, we live on robbing tourists and people passing through. And I said, well, what do you do? He said, for hundreds of years, our we've been taught from childhood to have a gun. We only have like a few seconds to shoot someone coming along the path. Then they go around the corner. So we are told to wait 6 hours with total mindful concentration until we see a traveler and then we shoot them. And at the time I thought, my God, you know, that's mindfulness. It's like it's a just a model of perhaps mindfulness being um, technical, but of course mindfulness is about a big heart mind. It's chitta. It's the heart mind and the caring mind that we have. And it really gets quite simple then. Things can get a lot simpler. We feel it's also complex. What do we do with the historical, you know, 80 years of conflict of Israelis and Palestinians here in this part of the world and further? It's so complex, there's so much history, it's so difficult. In a certain way, it's not. It's not. There's certain things when you have a mind that is seeing others and the world, yourself and others, you'll know what to do. It gets a lot simpler. You don't do that, you go there. Is it working? I don't know. Am I helping? I'll do the best I can. Things get a lot simpler. You don't have to carry endless complications. And indeed, there are some people that are sort of said, it's not complex. You just don't do that to us. It's very simple. And it kind of things can get simpler. There is a very famous um, emperor. He was more than a king. He was an emperor in India called Ashoka, some of you may know. And he was a real tough guy, and he made wars on everybody, and he caused a lot of suffering. And then the Buddhist teaching got to him, and he changed radically and became really a model of how a leader of a country can behave. And he basically said, this country will never go and fight another people for any, unless it's absolutely survival, but this country will never start war. And they had a whole period of peace. And on the street, so I understand from reading a little bit, every corner there was a kind of a place for poor people so they could get free food and whatever they needed. There were like stations for feeding those that couldn't eat or didn't have money, and free medical care and so on and so on. And a lot of kindness in the whole society at all levels. Not only, it's worth remembering that according to the Buddhist teaching, it's not that you don't kill, but you try your best to stop others killing is part of sila, part of the ethic. So I'm not going into anything about how to act in these times because the whole point is we are faced with impossible choices. Fair enough. But the more we develop, our responsibility is to develop a big mind and big heart as best as we can, and then trust that with that we go out into the world. I had a Sangha Live um, Zoom event a week ago, and someone said, "Well, what would you do if someone came to your front door with a gun and wanted to kill your children? All this Buddhist stuff that you're telling us, wouldn't it just simply vanish?" And I said, "I have absolutely no idea what I'd do, but I hope that all the practice and wisdom that I've gathered in my life will somehow be there, and accept that I absolutely don't know what I would do, and I might do totally the wrong thing, but who knows?" And I think we can all just do, in a way, be like that child psychologist said, good enough mother. I think we can be good enough spiritual practitioners and not expect more than that, but do the job of developing our heart and mind and our connectedness with others and with the world, and then trust that with that place is the best I can do. We will never get it absolutely right. It's impossible. But having that sense gives us some support, I think. Okay, thank you. I will have some questions if you like. Well,